All right, welcome back to the show. My name is Ryan Morrison, and today's guest is Troy Morris. Troy is the co-founder of Kall Morris, Inc., KPI, a space logistics startup designing tech to capture and relocate space assets. Think tow trucks for satellites. With roots in northern Michigan and eyes on the stars, Troy is proving you don't need to be in Silicon Valley to build the future of space. Welcome to the show, Troy.
Ryan, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, this is timely. You have some awesome things right now happening. I wanted to actually start, though, by asking you a question about your upbringing.
Yeah.
So my question for you is, if your future self visited you, yourself right now, visited you as a child growing up in Marquette and said that you were going to be launching space rockets and doing things in space, what would you have said as your younger self?
So my younger self responding to current Troy's kind of the question. All right. First off, unfortunately, I did not grow up in Marquette, Michigan. This was, I found it later in life. I found my way to Michigan, and I was like, you're going to have to drag me away. And so it's something that if I found younger Troy in the cornfields of Illinois and said, like, hey, the toys on your desk, the Buzz Lightyear shirt in your closet, that's all going to become boring and normal, just a part of your day, would have been absolutely flooring. And I think that's the key thing, is that, our lives have become so entrenched in space. I mean, most of my life we've had humans living on the ISS. That was wild. This was just a new thing when I was a young little lad. And so the fact that not only do I get to know astronauts, I mean, we hung out with them on Monday, but that we are building technology that is world-changing, operating in space, more to come. We'll talk about that in a little bit. I think it would have, younger me would have called me a liar, but also had a lot of media, like Back to the Future questions, like, all right, what sports teams we best betting on? So I would love that opportunity. It's something that would be so encouraging, as long as I don't ruin the time-space continuum. So we got to be careful of those rules of time travel, but that's a great question. Oof. I'm going to have to think on that for days now.
Yeah, right. I mean, did you always know that you wanted to be, you hear parents sometimes be like, oh, what do you want to be when you grow up? And one of them is usually an astronaut, right? Did you ever think when you were growing up that was the career path that you were going to end up on?
Oh, I hoped and dreamed. It's something that we were lucky enough to spend some of our summers down in Florida. And every year it's like, all right, we're going to go visit Grandma and Grandpa. What do you want to do? Is it Disney World, alligators? It's like rocket launch. I want to go see a rocket launch. I want to see a rocket launch. Never came together. We tried one or two times, and the launch was scrubbed, or the car had a flat tire once, just wasn't meant to be. And then I also looked at my family size. We're not on the short side. And so at the time I was, reading, what does it take to be an astronaut? Height was the limiter at that time. And I was like, okay, I'm also not the strongest in my math and physics. Okay, there's other ways. And then the Columbia disaster. It was something that was a real shock to my young space-loving world, is that, I was aware of the, early experiments and the early situations that happened with human flight. And that was a shock to me of, what else could I do? What else can I give back to the world? And so I think it was around that year 2003, I was like, maybe not an astronaut. There's a few things working against me. I'll go do other things. But it was that burning passion still. It was still on the mantle in my room, and something I actually still have one of the toys from when I was 6 years old at my birthday. So it's always been there. I couldn't believe that I actually got to get back to it.
That's awesome. So you grew up in Illinois, and then you went to Northern Michigan University. And it talks about on your site that you basically were hanging out with your co-founder in the dorms and things like that. So talk a little bit about, how you guys met, how things came together, and when it started to become real that a space company was going to be in the future, because you ended up working in corporate too shortly after college, right?
So something that was in the residence halls of Northern Michigan University, go Wildcats, and it was something that I met the roommate of my younger brother. So Austin, younger brother, he's our director of engineering, building machines like you wouldn't believe, and one of the smartest people that I knew, and then he introduced me to Adam and just changed the scale. So it's something that when you meet your roommate in college, some people are like, all right, we're going to talk about girls, or we're going to talk about where we're going to drink. They were discussing the rocket equation when I walked in. And so it's something that, for those unfamiliar, it's the way that humans have figured out to how we get to space. And there's a bunch of great things to it. It's nerdy as heck. And they were doing it for no other reason than to play Kerbal Space Program more efficiently. And so that's, we got the rocket equation up there. So it's something that that's how they met each other. And then, shortly in the hours thereafter, checked out my younger brother's room, his roommate, and we met pretty instantly. And it's been about 10 years since that time in August, where it's like, wow, Austin is building race cars and he's going to go on to build helicopters and more that we didn't even know about yet. Adam has a brain for ones and zeros that just make you feel like you don't even know how to count. And my skills are always in the human side. It's something that if I had business projects, I'd check the math with Adam. If there was some problem he was working on of like, hey, we've built this model, how are people going to respond to it? He'd come to me. So years before we actually founded a company together, even thought to, we were already working together on projects in school, the great way of iron sharpening iron in university. So that happened in the dorms. But as you mentioned, I graduated. Unfortunately, I had to leave the UP like so many around me. My co-founders did too, out to New York, Philly, and me in Chicago. And it was doing successful in our careers there. They were like, politely, this sucks. Can we get back to Michigan? How can we do that? So that was kind of the origin story, and then the kind of the dark genesis of how do we get back home?
Yeah, so talk about that journey a little bit. Like, what was the spark that led you guys back to Michigan and deciding to launch KMI here?
Yeah. So the nexus point of things coming together with rideshare availability. So on rockets, we were seeing the reusability of rockets, the first SpaceX rockets landing, not just exploding or shooting off into nowhere. And so then the availability of components for space. And we started discussing that on the weekends and after work of, wow, this is so cool. We're such a new renaissance of space. How does that work out in a few years? How does it go from, okay, more people can launch? I mean, we've got universities here in town that I've talked to the students. They're doing it as a college project to make a satellite and launch it. That wasn't possible in the same way years ago. You could have a whole university launch a satellite. But CubeSats, CanSats, all these other things, we immediately recognized in the summer of 2019, there's a change coming in aerospace. A lot of hard work, a lot of launch logistics have come together, and what's going into space is going to proliferate. What does that do? And we worked our way down to any cool thing we wanted to build, space hotels or space elevators or intergalactic mining equipment, any big dream you'd ever want to do while playing video games, talking to your buddy after work. It all came back to space debris of, if we don't solve that, if we don't solve these lethal collisions that happen just above our planet, doesn't matter what you want to build. You can't get to Star Trek if you can't get off the planet. And so that was the first part of, okay, let's find who's fixing space debris. And there wasn't anyone. So that summer of 2019 really fell into the fall of 2019, and we incorporated KMI November 22nd, 2019.
Wow. What an interesting time to start a company.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. It's not like there was anything just coming over the horizon around March of 2020. Hindsight's 2020, and 2020 ruined everyone's hindsight. But
fair enough. But so you guys have originally bootstrapped, right, to get to a certain level. So like, for people who have no idea how to even start, how do you even start a space company, right? Like, where does one even start? And then we can talk a little bit about like where you got to. I think you brought one of your initial products here as well. So.
Yeah, we can definitely talk about reach. Love it. I want to even start like a step further of how do you start a company? Because it's something that, here in Michigan, especially here in Ann Arbor, Raw School of Business, Doug Song, there's some great currents and trends of entrepreneurship, but it doesn't have to just be space companies. My experience is unique. Our opportunities have been lucky, if nothing else, with a lot of hard work, but a lot of luck just aligning the right ways. So I think the first thing for a business is why. What is your why? Simon Sinek, his golden circle, what is your why you want to do this? Because a lot of other things are going to suck first. And so once you have that, it's start to test it. Marketplace of ideas, customer engagement. I'm sure there's so many different versions of it. Go talk to who would be working with you. Not necessarily just the customers, but the suppliers. If you want to do a sandwich shop, it's not just talk to people when they're hungry. Like, hey, do you like sandwiches? Of course you do. Who's going to provide the bread? Are you making it yourself? Are you getting grains? Really work through it before you start scaling, because then every beat of success you have is now eating against the clock, and the clock is the hardest thing as a startup. So my advice to any entrepreneurs out there, anyone who's looking to join startups, do new things, is figure out what are those first steps. What's that first set of wins? And for us, we recognized early it's, okay, we have to prove that this technology, this crazy thing we're discussing, works not just on the whiteboard, not just on the lab, but in space. And thankfully, we were right. It's something that's really changed the conversation for us. But I think that customer engagement part is so huge. Make sure you're giving the right thing to the right people, because otherwise you're designing a hammer for people who already have them.
Right. And the same idea of like you realized that there was a niche, a gap in the market on space debris initially. And so no one was solving it, or there wasn't enough right action happening there. So how did you validate that in the early days?
The very earliest days was good old Google. So by the time we had moved Austin out of Philadelphia, the day that governors were shutting non-essential businesses because the pandemic was rolling in, we moved Adam out of New York the day that the markets crashed. And so they both made up to Marquette. I sheltered in place in Chicago, met my now wife. But there was a lot of free time on our hands. And so when the wife was just the girlfriend, there'd be tons of time where you're just at home and you could only clean the kitchen, learn how to make bread so many times. You're like, all right, let's look at everything we can find on the history of space debris, where it comes from, who's doing it, what the legalities and international agreements, real fun stuff to read. And that's where we started to really see there's been some attempts. There's been, a summer project where someone puts an idea together for whatever propulsion company they're working on. Like, if we could solve space debris, this is how a rocket company would do it. You go somehow grab debris, attach a rocket, and we'll sell the rockets, and then you're done. I'm like, this is a terrible plan. It's not really a plan. It's just a sticky note. And so it was something that some of our now competitors, friends, colleagues, depending on the minute, some of them were getting started around the same time. There was Astroscale just starting to come out of Asia. ClearSpace was just going to be winning their first big win with the European Space Agency. Starfish over in Seattle, they were in their bootstrapping days coming out of Blue Origin. And so it was something that there was really a current across the world of something has happened. And there's more than that. There's Deorbit in Italy. There's all these wonderful people. But we were catching that same trend of something needs to happen and it's not. And so Google was our best friend. This was also pre-AI helping everything. So now today you might hop into ChatGPT, but double check the hallucinations. So it's something that a lot of hard work of reading a lot of terrible, but also a lot of good sources of information to really get our founding there, because we're technically aerospace outsiders. So it's a lot of self-education to complement our already skills.
Right. Yeah, you were riding in tailwind, right? And that's part of, I think, what makes startup successful or not is like the timing, the opportunity, like, and a lot of luck, which you even brought up yourself. So you were able to kind of ride the wave a bit. So how were you able to go from lab testing and concepting to actually building the Reach tool and then getting it out into space?
Yeah, you just ask. No, so it's something that for us in our specific story, we were fortunate to, again, be working with, and there's some great quote out there, I'm sure, about luck is about preparation, and so it's something that we worked with partners in the Department of Defense, NASA. We call them all the time. They said, stop calling, just come to this conference. We're talking about debris, just leave me alone. And so it's something that working with these different partners, these different stakeholders, talking at the very beginnings of our story of, the venture community for what little exists in northern Michigan, let alone what's grown here in the state since. It was something that for the ISS, we were sponsored by the Center for the Advancement of Science and Space, CASIS, for a national lab research assignment, NLRA. I don't remember what every acronym will be here today. But so we were selected by them to partner with the International Space Station. And so our implementation partner of NanoRacks, now owned by Voyager Technologies, that just IPO'd for $381 million, I think it was. We were able to work a lot of relationships, work a lot of knowledge, and have really engaged with those stakeholders early, often to explain, like, hey, we're going to bring a mechanical octopus to the space station right by the crew and have it fly itself around and grab things. Cool? And on first review, or I can imagine the faces of reading a subject line email for that is, what in the world are they talking about? Is this a horror movie pitch? Did I miss in the year 2050? No, this is actual what we want to do. And so again, it was a lot of engaging those stakeholders, some customers, some decision makers, and working with them early and explaining and walking through safety in ways that I don't ever want to do again. It was all necessary process, and so that partnered with us for over $3 million of value to get us to the ISS. So we launched with SpaceX on SpaceX 31 from the same launch pad that went to the moon, 39A in Florida. And then we were operational on the ISS for around 200 days, and the hardware just came back. Austin, my co-founder, went down to Voyager to pick it up in Texas on the 4th of July. Hard to do anything more patriotic than be flying out with the space hardware sitting right next to you and just absolutely terrified that, you'll drop it or something like that. But once it's getting to space, it's scary. But now that those components have been to space, it's better than gold.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's super cool. Super fascinating. And very timely also. So could you talk a little bit about, this is Reach, right?
Yeah.
So talk about what it is and why it matters.
Yeah. So what I'm holding in front of me here is nearly 1-to-1 replica for what we had on the International Space Station. So what I'm holding here is 7 linkages. This one is my TSA safe one, so it's missing a lot of the fun parts. But for anyone that will be in Detroit here tonight, I don't think we'll have the podcast out by then, but we're doing a demonstration of much more thorough technology as part of the Reindustrialize event, sponsored by New Lab again for where we're going to be demoing that. But this one is 7 linkages, and it's driven in a way that we can control the deployment of these arms. And what we're missing here is a gecko adhesion. So what this is providing us is, one, this is a single arm of a whole set, much like an octopus. On the ISS, we were able to produce 4 arms and connect them to a kind of drone that flies inside the space station. And so what this does for us is allows us to approach, engage the object we're trying to capture, and do it in a non-destructive, adaptable way so that this unfurls against a target. So whether we're capturing a cube at the corner or we're catching it straight on, the cube that we are capturing is almost as big as the spacecraft, the Astrobee that we were using to fly up to. So again, it's me trying to tackle a lineman at the Detroit Lions. I got to get it right because otherwise it's going to bowl me over. And so it's something that this gives us that capability to grapple the object that we're going after without having traditional docking systems. So much like, I love having wireless charging for my phone. It's much easier than trying to find that little port, that little plug. You got to move covers. You got to get it just lined up right. That's me, going to bed at night. It's much harder and dangerous when you're at space and things are flying together. So what we're really bringing is not just a cool set of videos and some amazing pictures and amazing relationships. This is the demonstration and the proof nearly 180 times that this Reach technology allows agnostic docking and grappling, that we can be that tow truck for space, not just prepared docking of exquisite, USB to USB, boop. That's great. That's a great way for humanity to have got started for the first nearly 100 years of aerospace. We can do better. And so that's what we're bringing to bear, is this ability to really move material at scale in space.
That's incredible. Should we pull up the YouTube video or maybe some of the pictures too?
Yeah, so there's video 1 is the one that has made some of the best rounds. So that's going to be a video that we're going to be showing of the Reach approaching from the left, tackling a Mylar-covered cube. And so what this is showing here is, again, one of the most boring of the 180 captures. But this is one that's right now on our YouTube. People can go find it. And so it's showing in just a 14-second clip how it goes from deploying those arms so that they go in all the forms of direction. So I don't know if we want to roll the clip live and I could talk through it again, but that voiceover works for it still. So yeah, it's so boring in this video. There's another one that I can send on that is, and I'm going to take an editing pause here. I'm going to send you the video that has 24 million views. So give me a second here.
No worries. It's totally fine. Could we pull up some of the pictures too?
And you can just disperse those in as I'm talking about Reach or ISS or anything. But let me send this clip. Is email still best for you guys?
Yeah. Okay. There we go. There's Reach. So on the back is a drone that basically allows you to capture moving objects from the space station.
All right, there's the Instagram video from ISS. So yeah, that drone on the back is me oversimplifying the very hard work of a lot of great people that is known as Astrobee. So it's a self-propelling robotic system test platform on the International Space Station. They have multiple at any given time. And so I say it as a drone because that's honestly a lot of what it's doing. It's propelling itself with propellers, and it's able to do some self-driving around. But again, it's standing in for future spacecraft. And so then this is the video that ISS released, and it was a huge hit. As we can see there, we actually passed over 1 million likes. Wow.
That's awesome.
So that's Sunny Williams. I had the wonderful pleasure to actually get to spend time with her this last Monday. And so there'll be some more things coming, but she is a fantastic human being, an amazing scientist. And she worked so hard with us on getting these tests to run well, because we did 6 total sessions with the crew on station. And so this was one of the early captures, first seeing, does it even work? And it went so well that the ISS team went and published it. They're like, we got to show the world. So I was sent that video by 2 different friends, like, hey, Troy, this looks like what you've been telling me about your, working in the basement doing it. Is this similar? And I was like, that's ours. So it's something that it's been fantastic to see the worldwide response. It's had somewhere, the 25 millions of views. I think when I was talking to Patrick over at ISS National Labs, love you, Patrick. He was saying that one of the most viewed videos they've ever had. So
wow.
It's something that we're very proud. Again, this wasn't done for clout. This wasn't done for feel goods. It was done to prove the hard part of this technology doesn't just work. It works again and again. It works hundreds of times in terrible scenarios. As we were getting to those final test sessions, our team was like, how can we make it lose? All right, we got to make sure we know exactly what the limits are. You don't know how well a new race car can handle until you crash it.
Right.
So we got darn near to that as well as we can with safety, but it was something that really established quite a lot for what we need.
Can you talk about that actually? Can you talk about how far you pushed the limit?
Yeah, I mean, so there, like I said, there's 4 arms, as we just saw in the video, in all the directions. So if you want to pull one of the pictures of the reach in the ISS, it's something that there's test scenarios where we just turned an arm off. So, trying to capture something, but with one hand, quote, tied behind your back. Now, unfortunately, those videos are still going through review for some of the technical intellectual property, as well as the safety and likeness of the crew. It turns out working with the ISS and NASA and the U.S. government and our funders from Air Force Research Lab and SpaceWorks, United States Space Force. There's a few people I have to check before any good videos and pictures can get released. But it's something right there. So here you can see the arms kind of capturing nothing. And so that was some of this outcomes that come from a test is, all right, let's run the software faster. Let's run the software slower. Let's try and do a capture half a second, 2 seconds faster. What happens if timing is off? There's going to be delays. There's going to be hiccups when we do the full mission. And it was something that again and again we were capturing successfully the object. So one of the nice things about the tentacle system and the Gecko from our partners in Gecko Materials is that even when it slips to a point of success. So it's like having a great wide receiver that even if they fumble the ball, they still bring it down at the end, and boom, we go for another score. So it's something that even when we push it to limits, other than my favorite failure was everyone was all ready. The Astra B is lined up with that capture object, and the team's like, all right, go. And the Astra B just goes, I think it was to the left. Someone hit the wrong button. It happens. So you do have to have the physical objects get closer to each other, but for all the ways that these could go wrong, someone just hitting the wrong key. Oh, no, reset. And it worked the next time.
It was a human error problem.
Human error was most of the errors in this scenario. When you have so many teams working together with new technology, I mean, we were the largest payload by mass, volume, and power draw that has ever flown on the Astra B. We reset some of the safety parameters for that demonstration unit. Human errors is something that happens of someone upload the wrong file or hit the wrong button, but absolutely endlessly proud of our team for the way that they were to work with NASA and with Sunny Williams and other astronauts on station.
So what's the scale that this goes to, right? Because let's zoom back to macro level a little bit. Like, why does it matter to move assets in space, to clear debris in space? What's the payload limits, like all of those kinds of things? Yeah,
so there's a few pieces there. So I'll start, since we're talking about reach, growing up a little bit from that, is, again, this is slightly smaller for what we are going to be deploying on the full spacecraft. 7 linkages and a little bit of size shrinkage for safety and to fit inside the ISS. The full reach system and on the spacecraft known as LAYLAPS, that is going to be designed to capture from the same system almost agnostically from anything as small as a basketball to anything as large as the 3-point area on a basketball court by diameter. So that is something that, I don't know the last time you took a basketball and the court and you're like, yeah, I can carry that around. It's huge because, again, we don't need to grab around the edges of an object. Like I'm picking up a laptop or a soda can, I don't have gecko adhesion, so I need to get that full conformative grip. But with the gecko, we can grab a wide variety of objects, and the shape is indeterminate, not an issue. So it's something that, as long as it's physical, so there are some balls of radioactive coolant from the old Soviet satellites. That is not in our capture case. They're squishy. But if it physically exists and it's got structure, it's something that, those are the currently defined parameters of objects that we would be able to go up, rendezvous with, reconnaissance, and then hopefully relocate as needed. And so that's where it starts to come to. Let's zoom out a few 10,000 kilometers. Why does it matter? Is that right now humanity relies so much on space for so many services. I think from the UK alone, they said that a day without space would be £1 billion a day lost. This is from commerce, communication, entertainment, weather tracking, and all of that impacts security, so many things that we drive through space. If you cut out space, transport us back to Leave It to Beaver. Great show, not someplace I want to go every day. And so these satellites that we are either helping to keep in space or keep out of the way of harm, that risk reduction is really the huge value for our customers, is keep your asset on orbit where you want it to be, keep doing those services, make things go longer. Everyone wants to get that last cookie, the last brownie. Let's get that last drop of fuel out of the spacecraft that's already on orbit and see if we can go to 110, 120, 130% of that planned mission on the capital side. It's hugely efficient. They've already paid for this asset. So if they can make it go longer, they make more money. And if it's something that's tracking hurricanes, it's saving lives in a way that if we can keep that going longer, it's better for everyone here on Earth. So again, whether it's moving things that are causing harm or moving things out of harm way, that's where we were really informed by our customers. Hey guys, space degree's great. Love that you're working on it. We have problems earlier. Can you help us earlier in this ecosystem? Don't wait till our assets become debris. We got stuff we need right now. So that, again, that's where demonstrating on the ISS helped to show that this isn't just a PowerPoint from some space-loving fans up in Michigan. This works, and we're coming.
Yeah, it's interesting because when we were watching the video of Reach with the ISS, right, it kind of reminds me of a scuba diver, like going through like underwater, right? And just the way that everything's kind of floating and everything like that. And it's no doubt that humanity has gotten water and ocean and things wrong. Like we pollute it, we destroy water, and it's important for us out here in Michigan, right? Because of the Great Lakes, we have the most fresh water. So like how, I guess, thinking about the future, right? Like what does the future look like in, let's say, even 5 years out in 2030 because of KMI?
Yeah. I actually want to start with, and I'm going to change your question of what does the future look like without KMI?
Sure.
So when you're talking about the oceans, and humans have unfortunately polluted many parts of it, they're one of the most terrifying natural wonders on Earth. For those who get a chance to snorkel or scuba dive, I was lucky enough to be with my wife, and we found a octopus crawling around the coral. And this was, I think, weeks after we had gotten accepted for this now mission to the ISS with our space octopus. And I was like, you go look at whatever fish you want. I need to just watch this guy in his natural environment. And it's just stunning. And so the reason I wanted to start the question of what happens if not KMI is that pollution in the ocean is bad. Pollution in our lakes, our water sources, terrible. Pollution in space, this is where physics comes and brings karma instantaneously. So for any listeners, you have an example on your own hands. You look at your pinky nail. It's about 1 centimeter square. That pinky nail at space speeds of 17,500 miles per hour hits like a hand grenade. And there's a lot more things bigger than your pinky nail. So humanity can reliably track objects as small as a credit card. So think about your pinky nail to credit card. That's a lot of hand grenades. And that's what we can begin to track. So without KMI, without our partners and our competitors around the world, without these types of services, we're going to see continuing strikes on space stations, loss of satellites. Even the crew that did our experimentation on the ISS, Sonny was talking about just this week, they had to shelter in place. They had a debris collision coming, and orbits are 90 minutes when you're in LEO. That's not a lot of time from detection, analysis, review, notification. It's almost as scary as the Cold War. And so it's something that for us, it's where we're working on is with KMI, we can start dismantling those largest threats. So it's something that I don't want to put us in the same category as nuclear, deproliferation, and those people are amazing humanitarians trying to keep this world from killing itself. But it's something that we're looking at kind of a similar situation in space, is that if everyone keeps to the status quo, does whatever they want, and blows up wherever they want, and lets things collide, it's lethal. Humans won't go out there. We'll be lucky if we can get our satellites up there or through there. We won't go to Mars. We won't go to the moon. We're not going to go to the other parts of the solar system. So with KMI, humanity has that chance to clean up where we are operating, continue to expand in space, and study the cosmos beyond. Just one small thing,
Just one small thing, I know. I mean, I've had some pretty cool guests on the show, Troy, but none of those topics were rocket science. And this one is quite literally rocket science. So.
Orbital dynamics. We leave the rocket scientists to our launch partners. But yeah, it's something that when you have a great group of people, and I've been part of dinners with brilliant humans, and she's talking about her launch systems that she does with Firefly, and he's talking about, building rockets in the desert. I'm like, gosh, you guys are so cool. They're like, it's not rocket science. It's like, no. It literally is rocket science. So it's a wonderful thing. But you're saying.
Yeah, so I guess where I wanted to go next, I do want to get to the cosmos, but I want to come back to Michigan for a second, because you and KMI, the team, has made a conscious effort to fundraise in Michigan and build in Michigan. So talk a little bit about that decision and some of the some of the disadvantages, but also some of the advantages of doing that here, because I want to demystify that for people. And, ultimately for me, it's about kind of shining light on some of these things, and then ultimately to help bring more innovation. Like, there's amazing movement and things happening here, right? Like, you're an example number one. But also, like, we have some problems that we need to address as a state. And hopefully the innovation fund that recently launched is one part of solving that. So yeah, just talk a little bit about that, conviction that you have of building here in Michigan.
Yeah, I wanted to date check myself so that these comments aren't held against me in the future as we keep making things better. But here on Thursday, July 17th, 2025, it's rough out there. It's something that Michigan has, I think, the best of intentions. And I say Michigan both as state government, economic development groups, investors, angel networks, entrepreneurs. The folks of Michigan have the best intentions when it comes to innovation and capital and deploying those together. We have a risk profile that is extremely cautious. And, without getting into macro psychology of, is this tied back to the recessions, what has happened to and since from Detroit, there's all these things seeing of upswings. And it's something that space tech is a hard sell for some folks. First, there's the technical gap, is that it's a little bit easier to understand, hey, this is a app that does something blank for your dog. I've got a dog, I've seen dogs, I've seen apps. Let's walk through the business model. I can understand that. And this state does some great jobs with biomedical. We do with software. I mean, we're here in Ann Arbor, and I think we've Song United down below us. So it's something that, there are ways that have won in Michigan. But I personally think, again, stating to today, that there is a hesitation and an uncertainty in the new. And that's not the same in this country everywhere. And that's where we are starting to not just fall behind, but lose. Is that I know of other founders that have left the Midwest, left Michigan specifically, to go to Austin, Texas, go to LA, go to San Francisco, obviously, if you're looking for venture. That's a lot where it all started. And if you're trying to do something new, that's where the biggest wins are. That's where we see the biggest upside. That's where we see these people who exit as unicorns and give back to the community for the rest of their lives. And if they've been forced out, we're pushing away this innovation. It's not just the brain drain anymore that we're talking about, that we were victims of too. We went to school in a beautiful place with amazing people that were not exactly the aerospace jobs we wanted when we graduated at MU. We are hoping to change that one person at a time. But I think it's something that for the state, we're making some right steps with innovation funds. We're doing some right pieces for having these groups start to talk to each other. There's a lot of bubbles where just last night I was hanging out with some individuals, and one is in Holland, Michigan, and he had no idea about the Angel Network in his backyard until folks from Ann Arbor and Detroit told him, hey, you need to go to your neighbor. He's working on this in a way to help you. And I think that's the problem we're seeing here in Michigan, is there is such a neighborly, and I say that Michigander, peninsula to peninsula, coast to coast, there's a neighborly approach to, I want to help. I want to give first. I want to make you succeed, because when you win, I win, we all win. But there's a uncertainty. There's a lack of trust or risk and education. We are lucky enough to be, I don't know how many blocks away from Professor Brophy's classroom, where he wrote the book on venture. We should have had crushed Silicon Valley if you just look from a historical perspective. Now, they had some huge benefits, and we don't need to get in the valley in the history of the valley. But for us to be at this state this many decades later is frankly embarrassing. And so it's something that, again, we've had some success raising in Michigan. I've talked to other founders of who's making deals, who's looking at the ways things move, who wants to be a follower, who wants to support, but they have different ways to do it. Not everyone is going to be the captain of the football team. I get that, but everyone needs to play their role. And as someone who was very bad at football in high school, I understand sometimes that's playing defense against your starting offense so that they can get better. And so I think that's an area that, again, for conversations happening this week, we're looking to do is how can we take folks who exited at Rivian, how can we take their insight, their recent hard tech cars? It's hard to get more Michigan than that. How can we bring that knowledge of what's happening elsewhere, pump it into us, and turn that hardworking Midwestern, pull up by our bootstraps, go to the camp ourselves, bring back a Kall? How can we bring all that energy and speak the right language for venture? So it's not just only Michigan dollars supporting Michigan ideas, but we're able to bring in those outside dollars, those outside partners, not just across the state, and across the country, but across the world. So there's a lot of great people working on that. I would fail if I tried to start listing them. So I hope really that here we are in 2025, and I get to eat my words in a year or so. But right now, it's something that I was asked last night. Troy, if you were raising again, would you raise and start in Michigan? And I had to swallow, think, and look him dead in the eye and say, no, I would not raise in Michigan right now, except for my absolute love here. And so we have some announcements we'll talk about here where we've had some success with other partners, but it is a stake through my heart that is dragged down by the weight of every bit of water in these lakes, that we can't do what I know my other friends are doing. If I just move to El Segundo, Troy, if you just come down here to Austin, if you just crash on my couch here in San Francisco, that's not where we want to build. That's not where we want to be. And so we're taking the hard road. We're working with those partners. And I owe a very frosty beer to one of my nearest entrepreneurs up in the UP, because he was right when he told me 2 years ago, we can't raise this type of innovation in Michigan. It's not happening. They're not ready. I hope they are. But Troy, I don't know if you can do it. So I'll leave him nameless, but it's something that it's a hard conversation to have. I don't think we have it enough. But taking all the doom and gloom out, we are trying. And that's the first step of any problem, is identifying this problem. So I'll get off my monologue, but no, it's something that's extremely current, and it's extremely hard, and we want to be here. It's just getting those pieces aligned the right way. And there are folks for it. It's about building that quilt work, building the first steps. So it can happen. It's just not happening yet.
Yeah. Well, I think if anybody's going to do it, I think you're going to be that person, right? And I think it does require more. It requires people like you, or it requires people like me and others in the ecosystem who love it here, who want to help change the innovation culture around funding, because we have a great culture around Midwest humility, give first, those things that you're talking about, right? Like, people want to help each other, yeah. But around the risk profile of investments, that's where the challenge lies. So it takes us making big bets on ourselves, keeping the team aligned on our North Stars, and not to throw a pun in there, but
there's a ton in the aerospace investment space of like, so tell me more about this space, or give me a 500-foot view, and I'm like, we got to start in like hundreds of kilometers, bro. So like, yeah, the puns are endless. We don't even get them all out, but continue.
That's fun. But yeah, and I think that's also in part, Troy, why this show exists, is because, yes, we can talk, my show with Pete Martin is very, like rah, Michigan, and we have that energy here. We do. But I also want to peel back the curtain on like, no, let's also address our problems. Like, who's going to be the bold founders like you who are willing to speak up about it and really make a difference? Because that's yes, you have to identify it, but then also you have to talk about it. People have to be aware of it, and then you actually have to do something to change it. So like, kudos to you for choosing to do that here. Let's all just rally behind you. For anybody listening, like, reach out to me, reach out to Troy about how we can continue to bolster Michigan's ecosystem around investments and fundraising and things like that. Because like you're going to change the world. You're already changing the world. Like ISS space station video has 1 million views. Like and it's the most viewed, like, or one of the probably the most viewed videos ever for them.
Yeah,
like
it was 1 million likes and 25 million views.
Oh my gosh, so even better.
I misquoted it to the wonderful folks at National Lab. I'm like, no. We want to get all of our credit. So yeah, it's something that, again, it's bringing all these together. KMI did not, cannot, would not do this alone.
Right.
So I love that you mentioned Pete. I was just watching the other week. He did his Flannel Rocket podcast with Chris Thomas and Riley Brennan from Trucks. Love Chris. He's one of our angels. So I want to give him and Doug, their due credit for being early supporters for us. But it's something they were talking about their Trooper Pledge, and it's something of, this we will defend for Michigan. Oh my God. I was like 6 a.m. wherever I was watching this. I was getting ready for my day. I think I was in D.C. and I was just ready to go. And then I went out my hotel door and the whole city's still asleep, but I am ready to go. We can do it. We have the pieces. We have the parts. We have the conviction. It's just putting it together.
I agree completely. All right, Troy, let's get into some recent announcements. So you talked about, we were talking offline about the next mission to ISS is coming down the pipe. So you're doing that in partnership with Stellar Ventures and Siri. So just talk a little bit about that and the timeliness of it.
Yeah, so it's something that those are two of the biggest leading partners. We also have ETMC. There's also Tech Connect. I know that I'm missing someone else in there. So again, that's why I try not to get myself on the list because I always mess something. But working with the wonderful folks at Stellar Ventures and these new to us partners for Siri, based with a lot of the First Nation folks in Alaska, a lot of tribal connections, and really how can they help drive what they're doing up there into a bigger innovation ecosystem. And that was one of the things that helped sell us on this is, okay, this is a new group. We just came back from ISS. We just got back. Do we want to go do another different project there? And it was something that with what we do here in Michigan with the tribes and the folks that were here, and there's a group that has really figured out some of this playbook. Yes, let's connect. And you're just saying the give first. My first conversation when I was telling our angels last night was like, cool, how can I connect our tribes to what they're doing? They're like, Troy, you just announced that you have a mission going to the ISS. You're getting a check wired. That's one of the most exciting days for any founder. And you didn't even pause to celebrate of how can I help? And I was like, how? So we're having those conversations, but focusing on ourselves for a second, which is so hard to do, we have announced as of yesterday, KMI is one of the cohort companies that'll be doing a additional demonstration on the International Space Station. Details, timelines to come. But unlike being the internal testing of Reach inside the ISS, flying around with the crew, being their best little friend, this is going to be on the exterior of the ISS. And it's testing a kind of middle brother technology. It doesn't get nearly as much time in the limelight as the giant tentacle monster that is Reach. So Asteria is that project that has been selected, vetted, reviewed. And again, it's nice knowing the stakeholders that when we were on some very large attendance calls, knowing most of the names or faces that were on there, it helps. So again, whatever ecosystem outside of space, get to know the folks involved. And so, we're very proud to announce that KMI will be going to space again on the ISS. There's other announcements, but those ones will have to wait for right now. So we'll have to do that for part 2. Okay. But KMI will be going to space again with National Labs, Stellar Ventures, and some wonderful partners all around them.
Super exciting. Yeah, I can't wait for you to come back on the show, hopefully again in the near future, and talk about, updates and all of that. Talk a little bit to, I know we have a few minutes left, but I would love for you to talk a little bit about Reindustrialize, because that is a huge event. Like coming back on the Michigan bandwagon here, like that's a big deal, I believe. The tickets for that thing are like $1,000 or a couple thousand or something like that. Like it's a big deal. Big names are coming out. So talk a little bit about what that event is and, what you're hoping to get out of it today.
Yeah, so it's something that was thrown on our radar, and, I had different folks being like, hey, there's this thing coming nearby you. And I was like, cool, where in Michigan? They're like, Detroit. I'm like, that's 8 hours away. So, I believe this is the second year for Reindustrialize. And it's, right there in the name is the Reindustrialize, is not just, we need to do something new, is we need to do better than what we've had before. And so, again, not connected directly to those that are putting on this event, but it's something that we at KMI had the unfortunate decision between our astronauts visiting on Monday, which thank you again so much to Dr. Anna Fisher, one of our advisors, as well as to Sonny Williams, making the time to come visit and speak with our team about the technology and do so much for the community and speak with students. And it was talking to our partners here across the state, DC, San Francisco, Albuquerque, and everyone I was talking to like, so we'll see you at Reindustrialize. And I was like, I can't go. I have astronauts coming to our office. I've been waiting since I was born to do this. And then I got on a plane yesterday and came. So it's something that, finding these opportunities while the event is ongoing for those that were fortunate enough to get their tickets inside, because it is a waitlisted event, which kudos to the organizers. Kudos for putting it on.
Yeah, here we go.
There we go. Yeah, so it's something that modernizing the U.S. industrial base, and so some of the socials that have been put on by different folks, again, Chris Thomas and Alex and others put on some great events yesterday. We had MEDC. We were bringing a lot of these people together. I believe I heard, and this is rumor, but by the time this goes there, it's fine. Governor Whitmer is making a good appearance and talking at length. So it's something that it's about bringing state resources, national resources. I met folks from Arkansas and Texas, and just like, I didn't realize Michigan had all this. And they're like, where are you from? And they're like, what's an Upper Peninsula? So we're educating. We're even if it starts with geography, we're going there. So for me, what this week is doing is really taking the show on the road, showing what we've done, taking that hard pill of swallow and say, we're proud of ourselves. We're going to share it. We're going to tell you. Because otherwise, who will? And I think that's one piece we need to take out of this is don't change who Michigan is. Don't change what we're doing, but we need to be able to talk about it. And I think Reindustrialize is helping bring some eyes here. So for me, it's a lot of connecting with these peers and connections we should have. I had the great pleasure of meeting some folks in person yesterday, and one said she was fangirling, and I was like, oh, cool, who's here? And again, it's just begets ourselves that we need to be able to be proud of ourselves here and stand on our own accomplishments and speak to them and still remain humble. I think that's the reason we all want to be here is we've got some good mentalities, some beautiful places, but that's what Reindustrialize is looking for us is help forge those final connections of these things that are close or adjacent and really bring that cohesiveness and hopefully make me my comments on the last long piece about where innovation in the risk venture community is here in Michigan. Yeah. This is one of those things helping to elevate that.
Right. Yeah, I completely agree. Ben, could you also just pull up a quick picture of New Lab? Because that's where this event's being held. There's lots of big events happening there now, and it really is getting the eyeballs, I think. It's bringing in people from out of the state. I think last year there was like billions of dollars of wealth in the room. Somebody might have to fact check me on that, but I mean, it was a wealthy room.
Yeah, I was part of an event at New Lab earlier this summer, not for Reindustrialize, and from a different one of our advisors, Asher, thank you again for so much of your time over these years. He brought us in, and Doug and Professor Brophy and others were there, and they gave me the number of, all right, Troy, we're going to have you speak for a moment as the only startup. By the way, the room is worth $5.3 billion. And I was like, cool. Do I just like pass a plate around? No. So it's something that, it's not just the money. I'll do a coffee cup. Whatever we got. So it's not just about the money. It's about the intentionality. They want to be here. And I'm rather newer to the overall New Lab team. I'm loving them. I'm liking them. And thankfully enough for me, we've actually been invited to their demonstration tonight. So I get to have this fun little travel size reach for those that are able to make it tonight. And we'll be happy to send video and content to you guys because we're filming, day of the event. We actually built the reach arms again down at New Lab, and so we're going to be running them. Wow. You'll be able to press a button, see the arms move. This is not the space-rated one. That one is very much behind locked doors in a secret location of our only office. So it's something that we're very proud to be able to show that larger to the world, tell the story, and whether it's by the forced hook of my advisors and angels saying, Troy, you have to show them what you did, we're going to do it. So New Lab's doing a lot for a lot of things.
That's awesome. All right, I got a couple of questions left here. This is a curveball. We talked about it during our pre-call, but what's the time horizon for a base on Mars?
Is this a base on Mars that is just where we continue to launch stuff, humans visit, or humans live?
I personally want to know when humans are going to live on Mars, right. But I don't know what the guests will.
So contained or sustained presence. There's a lot of problems to it. Some of them are social, some of them are funding. But let's say all of that goes, green lights, peace on Earth. Everyone wants to do this. It becomes an Apollo moment of we have to get to Mars in this decade or the next, like the famous Rice speech. I think that humanity at absolute breakneck speed would be lucky to be having boots on Mars by 2050. There's a lot of problems to solve. There's a lot of necessary safety and pieces for it of, Apollo missions were all successful, even 13, in that they all came home. They all came home safe, and they could share the wonder and share the riches of what we did with the world. For me, that's one of the measures of success. So if I were to pick a date, I want it by 2080. I want it by December 31st, 2080. We have folks on Mars on purpose, and they have the ability and function to come back. It's still in my lifetime. I'll be fairly old by then, so my son or his future kids, maybe they're the ones who will get to go. But I think there's quite a few steps to it. It's not impossible. It can be done, and I would love to eat these words. And 4 years later, we're doing something crazy. But for the way we're currently looking at things, I think 2080 is realistic, not hopeful, realistic.
Do you think that it's important that humans become multiplanetary?
In the timescale of the things we're doing on this planet, I think it's planning your 401k while you're drowning. It's something that there's a lot of problems we need to solve here. Yeah. And for us, it's something as a space tech company, I've gotten verbally assaulted of why should we care about this when there's all these other things wrong? And I have a very good defense of, well, in the way that the United Nations measures and tracks climate change across this planet, there's 22 measures, and I believe it's 21 of them are based in space. They measure from space. So as much as I agree, we need to be focusing on, housing, education, health, mobility, getting humans to live their best lives. There's so much of that comes from space tech. It's so many things that we've done articles on our company page about all these technologies. I've used some that come from pushing the limits to Mars is going to redouble that for what we did to get to space and orbit, to the moon, to the ISS. So anytime you push things to the limit, as you look back, you're like, oh, we invented Tang or 1,000 more useful things. Yeah.
Wow. That's fascinating stuff. Hopefully, we'll have a chance to talk about it again. Last question I have for you right now is, what is going to be KMI's legacy?
To quote Lin-Manuel Miranda, what's in a legacy? And so for us, it's something that I'm fortunate in my relatively young life, young career, young company, to look at some folks who have faced that question head on. And so for me, I think the legacy is, as a team, being wonderful humans who give back, who are appreciative, who are authentic. But as eventually the company hopefully exists and we fade away, I don't know if there's anyone still living who knows Henry Ford Sr. himself, but we still have the Ford company. And so it's something that I want to see KMI as it continues to echo on and grow on, and things will shift and change, that I want to see KMI continuing a legacy of providing for Michigan what we lacked. First off is those abilities to do high paying, high quality, fruitful jobs that are good for humanity in Michigan. And we need other places. DC is not in Michigan yet, so we'll work on that. But it's something that I see the legacy for KMI of being able to go out and do these grand things, but doing them for Earth, doing them for North America, doing them for Michigan, doing them for Marquette, doing them for NMU, down to the dorm room we met in. It all echoes through. So it's something that again, for me, it's about giving back, building something, and to tease some of that is space stations that we're in conversations to have on of our own with partners to collect assets in space and recycle them or refurbish them or refuel them, gas stations in space. This is our website. So you're seeing there a visualization of what that future capture will look like of the Laylab spacecraft capturing a rocket body in this example. Down below, just a quick shot of, love it, of us on the ISS. But I welcome people to dig in. See what we're talking about, meet the team, get to understand our technologies, our futures, our reasons, our why. So it's something that for us, the legacy is being successful. We could have all the money in the world, but if we lose at space debris, if we lose at controlling space in a way that's safe for everybody, what does it matter? It's that old adage of try counting your money while you hold your breath. And for us, I don't know how to clean up the oceans. I don't know how to make a less polluting process in the industrial processes. I don't know how to solve cancer. I do know how to help us through space.
That's awesome, man. This has been awesome. I'm really grateful to have you. Is there anything else that you want to share about KMI or anything, that you'd like the listeners to know?
It's something that it's not just lip service for Give Back. We're proud members of the Michigan Founders Fund among like 30 different great organizations, some in the Michigan state, some elsewhere around the world. But it's something that you made the offer early, and it's honest of we love to give back as much as our time allows. So reach out. It's something that we're very active on social medias, trying to get all this information, education out. We personally, intrinsically love talking to educators and students. We took a significant time with the astronauts we had this week and put them in front of students. And one of the teachers was like, don't you want to talk to them? I was like, yes, I do, but have you ever heard questions that come out of a fifth grader? It's amazing. So it's, again, in what ways we can help, in ways we can connect, and the part I need to make myself do, if you can help us, if it's something that you've got this connection, this insight, this partner, or you have this great friend who's wanted to scale and grow businesses. Again, our list of customers and partners, it needs to be updated from the announcement yesterday morning. But it's something that we are just so thankful and so appreciative of everyone that has helped us this far. And so we are looking at that next step of growth, that next scale, as we work to finalize this round that we're currently in. Again, we've got checks coming in. One of the most exciting things as a founder, besides getting your technology to work, is the trust and validation of people who want to see it go further. So that's my ask out to the community is, in what ways can you help us? And primary to that is, what way can I help you? How can I help today is a phrase that my team has almost asked me to stop saying, is how can I help? Like, we know that's why you're here. That's the whole point of the meeting, Troy. So I appreciate this meeting. Ryan, thank you so much. Thank you to all the team behind, to our angels, our advisors, our family, our friends, our spouses, and especially with one of my co-founders expecting his firstborn. Between NASA visits, ISS launches, fundraising, and family, what more can you ask for?
There you go, man. It's a perfect episode. We'll drop show notes as well. So any links or ways for people to get in touch, we'll put that in the description. Troy, thanks so much for joining the show today. And I look forward to continuing building our relationship, having you on the show again in the future. And good luck today at Reindustrialize. And we'll see you next time.
Awesome. Thank you so much.